Searching podcasts for Dave, and one more time.
And 3.
Number 2.
I'm going to give you a 1.
Followed by a woohoo.
America, America, coming to you yet again, tariff-free. And you are
You're welcome.
welcome. Absolutely welcome. Hi, everybody. How are you? I'm Dave.
I'm Juan.
And this is Dave and Juan.
More time.
Thank you. Although, you know what? The more I think about it, I think I want to put a 25% tariff on Berwick.
Yeah, I thought about, you know what? Where did I saw a video the other day of something that was talking about a speed trap somewhere, and I thought about the Berwick thing.
Well, you know, just because I that was the last speeding ticket I got, and they were just generating revenue. It's what they do, right? I was doing. We played this. Go back and find whatever episode it was. But I just thought, it's because it's reciprocal. I'm just paying them back.
Yes, it's been a while.
Much like our country. We didn't start this.
Right. We're just trying to balance the scales.
Those of you who don't know what we're talking about here, so in the past week, our president with his, he was out there alone, but the team and everything have rolled out their tariffs. And
promises made, promises kept.
Yeah. And here's the deal. They were pulling back interviews with Trump 30 years ago, 40 years ago.
That Oprah interview when Oprah was like just oogling over him.
Yeah. Oprah couldn't get her enough Donald back in the day, and he's been saying it like, "Hey, we getting jacked. There's no reason in the world," and been saying it's coming, gonna do. But that'll just show you the world we're living in and what we know of politicians, that we fully expect that they are always lying. That it comes as a shock.
Yeah, we're a lot more tolerant of the lies than we are of the truth.
Oh, yeah. Don't you dare do what you told us you were going to do, especially if it makes the people on TV mad. Because it made the people on TV mad, and they don't want to. Look, it's also great, and, you hear all the criticisms and about everybody becomes an expert. I read one today is pretty good. The people who can't pay off their student loans are now experts on tariffs. I get it.
Yeah.
I get it. And I don't pretend to be an expert on tariff. I really don't. I can follow along with what we do. It just seems to me, I'm sorry, if they were so bad, why is everybody else doing it?
Right. Yeah. So we're not the only ones who does it. We weren't doing it all.
We were. It looked like we dang near the only one.
Right.
Because we've been incredibly stupid for an incredibly long time. It's because we had.
So keep in mind, and that's the deal with people. We're not suddenly charging some other country, money. We're basically saying, hey, you've been charging us this much. You charge us 30%. We charge you 10. So how about we charge you 25
or none in a lot of cases. And that's basically it. It's I saw Victor David Hansen. He's a pretty brilliant guy. And he was talking today saying, honestly, it's not really our call. If you want it, if we won't tariff you anything, just don't tariff us. That's just
right.
It's reciprocal. So anyway, that's
and that's the whole thing. He could have pitched it where it says, okay, our proposed tariff to you is 0%, but that's contingent upon you charging us a 0% tariff.
Well, and what's happening now, again, forget all the crying on TV, is the countries are lining up from here to Dulac, bruh, to come cut deals and basically coming out saying, hey, you know what? On second thought, how about we stop? And a lot of times, too, they could take the tariffs off of us. We're not selling that much stuff over there to some of these countries anyway. Right. So anyway, so here's the deal. Whatever you think of that, and I guess most of America is like, I'm numb. I don't even know what y'all doing. Go ahead. But what they're screaming about now is, oh, heavens to Betsy, the stock market. people who are never paying attention to the stock market, does it affect your life? Probably not. I mean,
Right.
maybe
Not today.
maybe on the periphery, maybe, but yeah, it don't if you're not watching it every day,
If
don't
you
start.
decided on, last Friday that you were retiring on Thursday, maybe.
But even then, it's probably not going to be,
No, it's not that much. But did you see the graph that shows? Yeah.
yes, yeah. What you didn't panic here, why are you going to panic here,
Yeah.
kind of stuff. But again, the talking heads on TV, and let's go back to the very early days of Dave and Juan, y'all. They're
Yeah,
all
they're all lying.
lying. They're all lying. And it was insane this week to see people on CNBC and some of these places you would expect it from just going out of their way to try to start a panic.
Yeah.
To try. And they brought out everybody's favorite idiot, Jim Cramer.
Yeah, I was just about to bring that up.
Listen,
Black Monday.
listen, when you are known as much for the fact that there's something called, what is it, the Cramer effect or Cramer index, where they basically say, hey, watch Jim Cramer and do the exact opposite of what this cat tells you, and you're going to come out ahead. So
Yeah, I would be willing to bet Nancy Pelosi's not divesting of anything.
I'll bet you she's buying right now. She's buying, and you know what? It may go down a little bit on. And here's the deal.
It's basically, as I've heard it described, it's short-term pain for a long-term gain.
Oh, well, that's
And
okay. Life in
the
general.
problem is, we put off the short-term pain for so long,
Mhm.
that nobody imagines or can envision that such a thing is even happening.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing too. Is we don't have an honest debate about any of this stuff.
Mm-mm.
And some of that comes, it's hard to do everything that they're trying to do and actually communicate it well enough to people. But we have a problem, y'all. Even though they told you it wasn't a problem, it's a huge problem. We don't make anything anymore.
Right. That's the whole deal. And that's why we're beholden to those countries.
So just from a national security standpoint, that bites, but also from just a standard of living, God bless America, have a decent job. So, like, not everybody can push. It's not even pushing papers anymore, right? Not everybody can have office jobs. Not everybody can have, nor would they want them. But what we've done is we've taken jobs that were historically good, solid, blue-collar jobs and shipped them all off to countries that slave labor, pay people nothing, environmental, they don't give a crap.
And some of the other things is you talk about environmental, you talk about regulations and everything. It's also that's part of the motivation for U.S. companies to send stuff overseas because it's so hard to do business here.
That's right.
We're not a business friendly country anymore. We talked about the rare earth deal, rare earth minerals. And somebody was talking the other day. So, there are rare earth minerals in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
There's just regulations through the teeth about mining them.
They're not lying when they tell you, we've got more natural gas and more petroleum underneath our own ground than we know what to do with. We could be, we're the Saudi Arabia of the world. We got more than they do.
Yeah.
But we can't go get, and that's the hypocrisy. And again, that's
that's the biggest, because we can't do it here, but we're willing to buy it from a country who pollutes more than we ever could possibly even dream of.
So the pain you're going to see, and that's where the big reset comes in right now, is all these big companies, and there's some huge companies here in America. Hey, the two biggest, Walmart and Amazon. Let me tell you something. What percentage of Walmart and Amazon's business do you think is bringing in and selling? I don't want to say cheap crap, but I'm going to say cheap crap.
That was a lot of cheap crap.
Okay. I can remember back in the day we would watch stuff and they were talking about there were entire warehouses and factories that were just building stuff, and this was decades ago.
Well,
Walmart.
Two of the biggest sellers online right now are companies called Temu and Shein.
Yeah.
And it's all cheap Chinese or cheap stuff from China. My daughter buys a ton of stuff from Shein.
Really?
And they've got some loophole that they don't pay whatever they should, or I don't know. So cheap, but So if you're a big fan of Temu or Sheen, then you might see a little price difference.
And you can't, y'all, you kind of need to. And again, short term, long term, the goal is we got to build stuff here. We also have to get rid of, again, the regulations and stuff that, like, I saw this, and this I guess it was you know not trivia but a fact. I wrote it down here. It took, back in the day, the Empire State Building, for decades, the most impressive building maybe on the planet. If you go to New York City, it's just this massive. I mean, the Empire State Building took them 410 days to build that thing. America, back in, I forget what year. I mean, what was it? The 30s, 40s, maybe 50s. I forget when it was. But anyway, a long time ago. They didn't even have all the fancy equipment and stuff we have. They built that thing in 410 days. To put that into perspective, remember, what was it, a year, 2 years ago? That ship that hit the Francis Scott Key Bridge in Baltimore? They haven't torn it down yet. Right? We can't even tear down structures now in the amount of time it took. They built the Empire.
Well, I think it was in the Depression. It was sometime around there that they built both the Golden Gate Bridge and the Hoover Dam.
Man, look,
from start to finish in 2 years. To give that to a little Louisiana perspective, they've been doing studies on building another bridge over the Mississippi for, I guarantee you, 20 years easily. And if they approve all of the final plans now, April of 2025, I think they're looking maybe around 2036.
Oh, if you're
before
lucky.
the bridge is finished.
If you're lucky. If you're lucky. I wonder how long it took them to build the Côte Blanche Bridge in Cutoff. That must have taken.
I had a day and a half.
And from all the Facebook stuff I see, apparently they got a bridge in. I don't know if they ever fixed that bridge in Golden Meadow. It's almost like a little saga I don't keep up with anymore because I'm not catching that bridge anymore. But yeah, you always get the hey, bridge is always broken.
Well, you mentioned Walmart in another capacity. So, but talking about that, we have I don't know, Walmart accountant or Walmart Plus and stuff. So we get our groceries delivered here and things like that. Well, apparently the account got hacked. And Wednesday or so last week, my wife gets home and there's a bunch of the groceries outside my door. So somebody hacked our account, bought 2 orders of groceries totaling $500, but had them delivered here.
That's bizarre.
And it's like hair care products, skin care products. You'd swear they must own a salon or something. Because multiple units of each one.
Your wife doesn't have a side business you don't know about.
No, I don't. And the other side of that is they paid for, $10 for express delivery, and gave $20 tips each time. So I know that wasn't us.
But was all the stuff there?
Yes.
So, were they smart enough to hack your account and dumb enough not to send it somewhere else, or were they maybe?
I guess, but we thought, like my son said, well, maybe they were just gonna, they didn't want to give away their address.
They were just gonna wait for it to be delivered
and pick it up.
That's a dangerous.
But it got here. The first order got here at noon. Second order got here at 2. Nobody was here till like 4 or 5,
and it was still there.
Yeah.
And when was this?
Wednesday of this past week.
Man. It's so annoying. It's not my world. I work with banks, and it's not my area. That's not my my lane. But I talk to enough people, and dude, it's the ups and downs of everything. We love everything being online. We love convenience. But dude, it is a nightmare how advanced AI is going to make.
Oh yeah, because it hit my bank account.
Wow.
So now we're dealing with the bank, and that's not going to be an issue. But the bigger pain is dealing with Walmart, because you call them and say, hey, my account got hacked. uh, well, we'll close it down. And it's like, okay, well, whatever. It's go ahead and shut those bank cards down. Okay. Then you call them back later because they shut everything down. And it's so we had the Walmart Plus account. That's what gets your stuff delivered, that you pay for that. And they say, well, okay, well, we'll credit you $35. I said, well, the account costs $100. You're gonna credit me $35, so now I'm gonna have to come up with $100 or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And well, that's a prorated amount. I said, well, I don't care. Why don't you just put, you screwed up my account. How about you just give me the account back? For whatever it's, just make it expire when it was gonna expire. We can't do that.
Probably not an option. Yeah.
In a very non-American dialect. And
that should be Trump's next thing after tariffs.
Lord, and going back and forth with that. But we ended up going to talk to somebody at Walmart, which can do nothing in the store. They can't do anything about it. The customer service people are Indian, and they must do it remotely.
Oh, sure.
Meaning from their homes.
Oh, yeah.
So one of them, I could literally hear kids screaming in the background. And I said, dude, please tell the people behind you to shut the hell up. And I said, if you're uncomfortable doing that, hold the phone up and I'll do it.
Oh. Hey, you're a little bit annoyed. You're trying to, your account has been hacked.
Yeah.
And you're dealing with it, but think about the world we're living in, Juan. So you're talking to one of the either the biggest or second biggest retailer, depending on how you play the game with, them or Amazon in the world. They got more. They're as sophisticated as any operation on the planet, and your account has been hacked, and you're trying to fix things, and you're talking to some Indian dude in India with his kids screaming in the background.
Yeah. And then he says, well, we refunded your money. I said, I said, how did you refund the money, the $35? And he said, well, I put it to the bank card associated with the account
that was closed. I
said, well, we closed that card. Yeah, as you correctly advised us to do. Oh, you're gonna have to call your bank then. I said, yeah, that's gonna work. But then, so like I called Apple and everything just to make sure everything was set, because it was obviously happened through Joey's phone. I said, I just want to check the phone to make sure nothing is vulnerable on her phone.
I get a mal au cœur when that happens. I mean, I just pit in my stomach. I hate that, man.
Well,
that charge you don't recognize?
Yeah.
Crap.
Well, Apple says, and they were, said, okay, they said it's, that account's tied to your wife's email. Call your wife's email provider and have them make sure that the email doesn't have or that there was no, and that was a legit thing that they can screen the email.
Call the email provider. Who the?
AT&T.
Oh, okay. I guess that's.
Yeah, well, I guess because if they, I darn sure couldn't have called Google.
Try that. Try that one time.
So I called AT&T, and I'm talking to this idiot. And he says, okay, what accounts do you have with us? I said, okay, well, this is about her email, but we have our internet service through you, and our phones are through you. And he says, do you have the login for the login to the main account? No, do you need that? No, not really. Okay, I'll give you a phone number, give you an address, whatever you want.
Yeah.
But then he's going back and forth, and he says, well, I can change the password on the login for your internet and phone. I said, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm trying to get you to check my email to see if there's anything wrong with the email. And he says, oh, like you have Gmail or something? And I said, I called you because I have AT&T email. Why would I call you if I had something else? But they're all reading off a script, man. It's all they're plugging and reading whatever. Yeah.
Everybody needs to make a living. I get it. The ones that get me annoyed is the ones that are obviously they want to tell you, oh, very good. Thank you very much for that. Very good. Thank you very much. And they'll thank you to the point where you want to say, if you say thank you one more time, I'm going to pull what was the Liam Neeson movie? I have very specific skills. I will track you down. I will buy a plane ticket. And Well, so hopefully, were any of the hair care products good for you or Joey? No.
Um,
And did you have to bring them back?
well, this is the thing. So I'm trying to bring them back, because we didn't pay for them, but I got them.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to return it, but I went yesterday. I shouldn't have done that. I went with all of them at once,
Oh, geez.
and they said, "Well, you need the receipt and the card." Well, the card's canceled, and the receipt shows that it was delivered. So trying to.
Sounds like to me, Juan, if I were you, I would just, I would
I think we're gonna just have a lot of shampoo that I'll never use.
probably so, or just sell it on you do
Yeah,
that
marketplace.
marketplace. What the heck, man? Just just move it. Yeah, well, we're on a Walmart thing. Sweaty this happened today. I'd run some errands, and I pulled into a Walmart parking lot, and I parked. It's a very windy day here today. It was a pretty day. Very.
Well, we had a lot of wind all week.
Well, it was one of those days yesterday. Early in the day, it's very kind of very overcast and warm. It was 80 degrees here, and it ended up getting into the 40s, I think, here last night. So whenever
Yeah,
you
it's
get
chilly, right? It's like in
right.
the upper 50s right now here.
No, it's going to be windy. So it's a pretty day here. So I pull in. I actually swung into the Walmart parking lot, and I park the car, and I'm getting ready to walk in, and I guess a grocery cart. I could see it was being blown. And I don't know, this is the Houston area. We don't have hills, but it's pretty flat. But that grocery cart had a good bit of steam heading.
Right, it'll tag a car.
Okay, it was coming across, and it was it was away from me, and it was crossing, and it was getting ready to tag a car, not my car, but it was getting ready to tag somebody's car. Dude, I mean, I could have had a cape on. I went jogging. I don't even know. I don't know that it was a sprint because at my age, I don't think it technically counts as a sprint. But I moved.
Relative to the normal pace.
Correct. I covered about 20 yards, maybe 25 yards in time to grab that basket, and it was moving about 2 feet before it plowed into that car. And I stopped it, and I felt good about myself, and I looked around, and nobody saw it. And I felt like, ding, man, that was dang heroic what I just did.
Yeah, you should have pushed it back and waited for somebody else to come out.
And there wasn't a person around to say, hey, good on you, dude.
Nah,
nice.
But you know what? If the time that your hand touched that basket and if it had hit a car at the same time.
Oh, that'd have been 12 people.
Right. And every one of them would have thought you had pushed the basket.
That's right. That's right. So I was a grocery cart hero, but I had no witnesses. So listeners to the Dave and Juan podcast, you are the witness. It happened. It happened today. And what else?
We're talking about surprising things or weird things. So we went out to, I don't know if you're familiar with Louisiana. It's like north of St. Francisville, so kind of between Baton Rouge and the southern Mississippi state line in that area. My daughter's doing some senior pictures at a plantation up there. But the whole time we were in the area, we could hear, and I mean, it's like country. You could hear stuff. Like at one point we heard people singing the Star Spangled Banner in the distance. And it was like, what is that? Then, you could hear, it's like, is there a festival going on? It sounds kind of like there's music. No, then the sound quiets down. Then it picks up again. And you could tell it was like a microphone and somebody on a microphone in the distance. So as we're leaving, the photographer goes in like the little welcome center, this plantation, and asks what was going on. A polo match.
Polo.
A couple 100 yards from where we were.
Polo.
Not water polo, even though that would be rare.
And not Marco Polo.
Right. Polo. It's like,
I
would have never thought there was polo around here.
I can promise you. Well, there are a lot of sports I can't figure out, but I couldn't figure that one out. I mean, is it like soccer on horses? It's like croquet.
Croquet on horses.
It's like
croquet/soccer on horses.
Croquet/soccer on horses.
Well, like you're trying to hit the ball like a little croquet-sized ball. Yeah, your ultimate goal is to hit it in a net like soccer, but you're riding on horseback with a long croquet mallet.
Are there nets? Is it or
I don't know. I don't know if it's nets or like.
Seems like the kind of sport that would have a wicket. You know what I'm saying? Seems like the kind of sport that would just, no, these aren't poles. These are wickets. Although that's cricket, right?
Yeah.
Again,
I don't know how to play. I don't know what cricket is. I mean, I
these
know of
sports,
it.
yeah, cricket is, I know and other countries, they make a lot of money. Like the top cricket players are freaking paid, man. It looks like they run up and they throw a ball and they're trying to knock down some sticks and there's somebody with a bat and that person
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
that
yeah, yeah,
or
yeah.
it's not even called a bat.
Again, I know the bat. I don't know whatever.
There's all these sports that I see them and I don't care enough to know how do you score points there. That one, they got that sport high.
Yeah, that's fast. That's like
That's
a that's big in Miami, I think.
well, then we'll say it's fast. It's the ball. I want to say the ball or whatever the hell it is they throw. I think the speed that ball reaches is the fastest of any sport. In other words, that long curve, Shaw's.
Right. If you if you remember, go back to Miami Vice, the intro to Miami
Right.
Vice,
Down,
you'd
down,
see
down,
him
down,
throwing
down.
this ball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So no idea how they score points in that. That's that. Well, hell, dude, pickleball. I can't tell you how they score stuff in pickleball. That stuff's coming. That stuff's everywhere over here. I have
I talked to
no
somebody
interest
last night.
actually.
My wife had a class reunion, and somebody's kid lives in Dallas, and they are doing sales for the professional pickleball league there.
Yay.
No. Now
Yay.
this is so my buddy, I don't know if you remember, you probably remember Earl, my friend from Thibodeau.
Okay.
He recently retired, and I talked to him. I said, what are you doing now? What's keeping you busy? And he said that he started playing pickleball.
Of course.
And he said, but the funny thing is, like the first time they went, he said he didn't realize that there's like a pickleball etiquette. Um, where it's more like, I guess, like a round robin thing. He said, so he and a buddy were playing and they finished. And then somebody else said, all right, can I get in? As
Hell
in,
no.
he said, well, no.
I didn't come to play with you.
And he said that a couple days later, he realized that, he probably, offended everybody there because he was seemingly rude. But
I
that was
think
the pickleball etiquette.
yeah, I think I could sleep at night knowing that I somehow
Yeah.
broke pickleball. And I just we talked about this before. I go to the gym and good grief, they got the sweet spot here in Sugarland, man. But again, and it's weird, and they got some actual athletes to get out there, but it's embarrassing. And I really want to open the door sometimes to the indoor courts. It's got 3 indoor courts, and they probably got 20 outdoor courts. Okay, but I just want to every now and then I'll see a legitimate somebody who looks like he probably played football or basketball before, kind of you can tell works out in the gym, and I just want to like open the door and say, "Bruh, it's not a good look. It's
Well,
not a
Drew
good
Brees is
look."
big into pickleball, but I think
Who?
it's Drew Brees.
Drew Brees is a money chasing.
That's exactly where I was going.
Listen, man.
I said he's playing because it's a
Hey,
money deal for
I
him.
love me some Drew. I got nothing bad to say about Drew, but that's all about man. Look, if there's a dollar bill blowing on the ground and you standing there, Drew Brees, hey, be careful when you go to pick it up. You're gonna bump heads.
Drew is just the this is what I thought about the other day. Drew is basically a post professional athlete NIL career.
Okay.
Yeah, Drew will. You want to use Drew's name, image, or likeness on something? Pay him. He's all
there, man. He's all there. When I'm in home, I forget what bank he's associated with now, but I see it's
Bank One.
Look, is that it? Yeah. I mean,
Oh, because he's and then walk-ons.
I have yet to speak. I have yet to speak at a Bank One event. So, hey, Drew, if you're out there, I tell you what, I'll even play pickleball. Get me a gig speaking at that bank, and I'll come in pickleball gear to do it. But
We're talking about this is not a sport, but it's a game. My daughter's a senior in high school, and they call it Senior Assassin.
that sounds nice.
And it sounds really fun to me. I would do it. I guess they get a random, or you sign up to play and you get a random target. Target doesn't know it's you. But it's app based and or GPS on the app, so you can kind of follow where the person is, and you can't get them at school, but you basically just gotta shoot them with a water gun, and they're out. But if you wear goggles or floaties, then you're safe. So you got kids from her high school going all over the place in goggles or floaties. They staked out this kid coming out of a movie last night at 11:30. The guy that's her target, and waited for him. And when he walked out, he had goggles on.
Okay. It's cute. It's cute. Now, when somebody gets shot for real, I don't.
That's what I said.
Nothing.
They can't do that in the public schools here.
Exactly. When somebody, that happened here in Texas, and boy, it's going to take a turn for the dark, and I don't mean it to, but you saw the story that's going on here, but
Lord, yeah.
dude got killed, man. Dude up in, I guess, near Dallas, I guess.
I think it was Frisco.
Yeah, 4.0 student, star athlete, all this other stuff, apparently. I don't know. And that's the thing about you don't know who's lying, who's not lying. But the original story sounded kind of true. Apparently, this guy from another school didn't know him and I guess told him you're sitting in the wrong place or, I don't. You see, there's all kinds of ways. You don't know how this goes. First of all, let me cut to the end here. There is probably there's no reason, no matter what the tone was, that you stab somebody.
Right. Like just bluntly in the heart.
Killed him. Just basically killed the guy. But when you say like somebody, when you said you're in the wrong seat, there are different ways that comes across.
Yeah.
There is hey man, hey bro, you're in the wrong seat, and there's hey, you in the wrong seat. There's two. Now that doesn't mean that could escalate, but and now they're trying
to. One version of that could deserve a good punch in the face.
Correct.
Not a knife to the chest.
100%. 100%. So, America, what we're saying is we need to return to the days where all you did was whoop somebody's butt.
Right. And let it go.
Maybe didn't. And when you whoop their butt, here's what's weird today, too. It's like, I don't remember. Now, granted, look, I wasn't the brawler, man. I talked my way out of stuff. I didn't, but I don't recall ever seeing or even hearing about when people did fight. And you can tell the people that really wanted to fight, they would not do it at school. If you fought at school, that was pretty much going to be broken up, although now they apparently don't. And when I say don't, they still fight at school, but nobody breaks it up. That's
right.
Okay.
The students are too busy videoing it. And the teachers are too busy avoiding liability.
Man, listen, but even 1,000 years ago when we were in school, if somebody was you saw when somebody was beat. Right. I don't know. We officially call it tapping or any of that stuff, but when somebody's butt was kicked, it was kicked. You didn't just keep pounding that person. Right. You weren't just kicking that person in the head until forever. You know what I'm saying? It's gotten, it's just.
Yeah. Even in those situations, if you were surrounded by guys who were going to let the fight go on, at that point, somebody step in and
somebody always did. Yeah.
Done.
Yeah. Even the friends of the person,
the friends of the victor.
Yes, the friends of the victor were more likely to pull him off because it's over, bro. It's over, bro. Where the other people, if they come in, it's like, oh, you jumping into the fight, and So
yeah, I don't think I ever saw. I've seen fights, not tons, but I don't think I've ever saw flat out like it's everybody
over.
And their brother jumping in.
Yeah, it's over. Oh yeah. But I think that's the whole thing with being videoed now and filmed and so they had one here. I want to say it was in Texas. I'm pretty sure it was local. And there's this fight and this guy, and it's one of these situations. I don't want to. You have a lot of the big guy jumping on the little guy. I want to say big guy. This guy was tall, lanky, probably had more fights than dinners in his life, but he was. Just wailing on this smaller guy, beating him up, and I mean it's obvious the guy's not even fighting back. He's just getting his brains beat in. And of course, there are people. The fact that I'm seeing this online somewhere means somebody's recording it.
Yeah.
But then two of the teachers, one walks by and does like a half-hearted effort, and there's one. These are males, and I'm going to do air quotes to call them males. One of them has a cup of coffee in his hand, and he never puts the cup of coffee down.
Well, you don't want if you put it down. Maybe somebody would have picked it up and threw it on somebody and burned them.
Man, I'm watching that thinking, man, where's Rusty Vizier? Where's Blaise Leday? Where's Coach Curol?
Yeah,
Where,
and the coaches would always, yeah,
dude, Coach Perry. Coach, I can give you a long list of, but let's be honest. Back in the day, we had freaking men. And I'm not saying there aren't, don't get me wrong. I don't need any high school football coaches getting mad at me right now. And I totally get it. I totally get it. Now they've made it where they're more afraid of being held responsible.
Oh yeah, if it's a girl fighting, a dude breaks it up. Well, he's gonna get nailed for improper touching.
Well, whatever. We got it. So circling back, you guys must go to a really good school that y'all trust people to run up on people by surprise with something, even though it's a water gun.
Yeah, he said one little girl went to they have to go in pairs because somebody's got to videotape it. And they went to this dude's house the other day, and one girl knocked on his door and said, "Hey, my dog got loose in the area. Have y'all seen him?" And the girl with the water gun jumped out from around the bushes to shoot him. But again, he had goggles on. So you got a lot of kids from the school traveling around in goggles. Fortunately for my daughter, that's a natural part of her attire.
I don't know. I wish them well. I cannot say, Juan, that I cannot say that I don't really endorse this activity, man.
See, I think it would be fun. I think it'd be fun for adults to do.
Oh, dude, it'll get you killed. It'll get you. Don't you jump out of a bush near my house. I mean, and here's the deal. Even if I don't have something to hurt you when that happens, I'm going to go find something to hurt, even after I know that it was a joke. In fact, especially after I know it's a joke, I'm going to find a way to hurt you. Like, you're risking me having a heart attack.
That's because you're old,
Well, there you go. That's what I'm saying. Don't play that game with adults. You said it'd be fun with adults. We did something yesterday. We were I'd never been to in my life, a grandparent shower. Now, yeah, I never heard of that either. But it's an excuse to get together, eat some pretty good food, and drink a bunch of beer. All right.
But did you have to bring gifts?
Yeah.
To the grandparents?
Yeah, dude, I've never been to one of these, but it was fun. It's some people we know. It was
I have grandkids. Nobody gave me a gift.
There you go. There you go. You should have been with our group. You'd have got.
See, I'm gonna give you my address so you can send me one.
Yeah. But then one of the things they did, and this is like guys would never do this, but the women there, and they like, it's a shower, so they like having games.
Oh God, that's the worst.
Oh, yeah, it's funny. You sound like I'll have the guys, and we had, but here's what I want to just say. I think they apparently knew that I might be the problem, because I had more people, more of the wives and women there came up to me prior to the game saying, "Dave, you are playing the game." And I'm like, I don't know, no hablo. I don't know what you're talking about. I'm not. And it was fine. It was
that's the type of situation where there are a couple of scenarios like that, where there could be 30 people at this party and 29 of them are playing a game and I'm not. And I feel less awkward in that scenario than I would if I were one of 30 playing the game.
Yeah, I took one for the team, and and I don't mind. Look, I had fun with it, made jokes about it, but I also joked this because one of the things is it was sort of an obstacle course, but not really an obstacle course. It was something we had a baby you had to put on your shoulder, and you had to have a pacifier and a beer, but the beer was not to drink. It was old beer, and it was in a cup, and you had to go through the thing. You had to change the without putting anything down. You had to put the pacifier down, pick up a new pacifier without spilling your beer. Go around, sit down, what it was. And then the game was supposed to be judged by the person with the least spillage of their beer, which is kind of interesting. Why are you timing it? It was one of those things. There's probably like about 12 different guys that win. I just went first because whatever. I'll take one for the team. But then once I start competing, I get annoyed. Like, wait a minute. Y'all didn't tell us this. Y'all didn't tell us. I start calling other people. Like, hey, he didn't do, he's not even holding on to the baby. Like, that's not, you can't just throw the baby over you.
The cheating becomes more prominent as you go through.
And that's what I told him. And we all know that if we had a beer, a pacifier, and a baby in our hands, we're going to be holding that baby like here. And that
Yeah.
way, if you drop it, it's a shorter drop. I said, you
Yeah.
don't want to drop a baby from your shoulder,
Right.
you know?
And if you drop the pacifier, you're not going to find another one. You're just going to lick that one,
Man,
stick it back in the baby's mouth.
experienced parents or grandparents, you can have 100 of those things lying around anyway. I mean, whatever. But anyway, so that was
So
that's
what
I said
kind
to
of
be.
gifts did people get? Other
Not pretty, stuff for like I basically stuff for the grandparents to have in their house
at their home. So it's like baby stuff.
Ours were doubled up, right? So my wife got them some really nice little books, reading books, but
Yeah, so it's just stuff. It's baby stuff, but it's.
but then the part of the gift I bought them two different 6-packs of IPA. I got beer.
Yeah,
I just
there
figured,
you go.
hey, was a hit.
You got stuff for the granddad. Yeah,
Right.
your wife got stuff for the grandma.
Whatever. I mean, but that's so that was that. That was it's the age we're at, Juan. The age we're at. I'm hanging out with my peers, my grandparent peers, and well, look, I do a podcast with a grandparent every week, man.
So yeah, I'm just not. It's like the same thing. I texted y'all the other night from my wife's reunion. It's like a 3-part thing, and going in.
I read that text to my wife out loud because I said I was feeling you. I get a text from Juan that just said, "Wait, what did it say again?"
I said I'm 10 minutes into my part 1 of 3 of my wife's reunion, and I'm at the bar.
Yeah, I told my wife I'll be at the bar if you need me.
Yeah, and like walking in, I said, I'm just not comfortable around people I don't know. It's just, a good bit of them. I said, but I'm not comfortable around people I know. So,
guess what I'm telling you, honey, is I'd prefer not to have to be interacting with anybody right now.
Right, I'm good.
And people, I don't know, I guess people are wired differently because, I mean, part of what I have to do for a living when I go places is you have to be I got to talk to people. Okay.
Right.
And but when I'm not being paid to do it, and don't get me wrong, I enjoy it. I enjoy you and I talk. I would do texting back and forth. But when it's like, you got to go sit, you got to go be with this group of people right here, right now. And like you said, I don't even know these people.
Right. They all know each other. It's like, none of these people want to talk to me. I have no pretense about that. So,
yeah. And don't get your feelings hurt. It's like, hey,
right.
Don't take it personal. I don't want to talk to nobody.
And then when it was over, they had the post party, and they're going to somebody's house. And I said, all right, can you catch a ride?
Oh my God.
I'm going home. Oh my God. And I did.
I did. I can see that, man. Because I've like I said, I didn't make my last reunion because we had other stuff going on. I mean, it could have been technically it'd have been easier if I'd have had my own private plane, which I don't. But I just couldn't just do it. But yeah, it's always hardest on the spouse.
Yeah.
Right? Because you talk about most of us don't want to go to our own reunions.
Right. And this, I
want to be at yours.
So 20 years ago was the first reunion I was going to with her. And like I said, they do like the Friday night is just a little informal thing. They have, they all meet up at a bar or lounge or something. And I said, all right, here's the deal. I'm going to be at the bar, but I can assure you of this. And I said, I'll be there with other people who don't know anybody. Well, before Rosie O'Donnell was a pain in the butt, Rosie's first wife actually went to high school with my wife, and they graduated together.
Okay. We've been doing a podcast for 4 years, Juan.
I've never said that.
You've never said that Rosie O'Donnell's first wife. Didn't know she had a first wife, but
yeah, she had multiple. The one she had kids with.
The one somebody had kids with.
Well, I think they adopted, and then this one gave birth some kind of way.
Okay, so I cut you off. So this person who was married to Rosie O'Donnell, was she divorced from Rosie at the time?
No, she is now.
So she was married to Rosie at the time of the reunion?
At that first reunion, yeah. So I was excited. I said, the people who don't know anybody are going to be bellied up at the bar. So there's a good chance I'll get to just hang out, me and Rosie. But they didn't come.
Oh, I got you.
I think they were on like some lesbian cruise or something.
Oh, they didn't make it.
Yeah, they didn't make it.
Oh, no. Lesbian cruise. Okay. I think I'd rather go on a lesbian cruise than go to a reunion, honestly.
Yeah. Hey, there you go. It just depends, I guess. Depends.
Well, I didn't know that. All right. Well, okay. I thought you were going to tell me that you were rapping with Rosie's wife at the
Nope.
bar, but okay.
Nope. Nope. Nope.
No, I'll try to. Hopefully, I'll be around for my 50th. I'll try to make that one. I got a feeling the 50th got to be depressing because then you're probably knocking on. You're probably knocking on. You got about as many of you dead as alive, or close to it.
Well, I mean,
I don't know what the
nice.
percentage was on my 40th, but there was
No, we have quite a few that have passed.
all the
This
fun
is,
ones,
huh?
all the
fun
ones that really lived.
Um, yeah, I don't know. But again, I know I've said this. Everybody, or the vast majority of people I went to high school with, still live in that area.
Yeah,
So, yeah, they see each other at the grocery store. It's not a big deal for them to,
totally get it. I'm going down. I'm actually going to be down. So we're doing this on a Sunday. We didn't do our Bible study today, Juan. We started but doing the Sunday. But I'm going to be heading down to Thibodeau tomorrow evening and there for a few days. So hey, Lafourche Parish, look out, coming. You'd probably see me working in the yard.
Yeah. Drive down the avenue, see a guy. Yeah.
That's what I'm doing. What my mom going to be telling me, oh, don't work so hard. You come here and you never stop. I'm like, well, only here a few times. You gotta.
Yeah, gotta feel good about it.
That, or I'm going to clean off the golf cart, and you can see me. If you're around Menard or Audubon or whatever, you see that golf cart and the guy, with let's just call it a soda in my hand.
A beverage with fizz.
For all my police friends out there, yeah, just that's what's gonna be going on. Also, as when this airs on Monday, it'll be the same time as roughly, I think, the NCAA finals tomorrow. Hey, your team now, UH.
Yeah. So
UH. Those of you that hadn't keep up, was an amazing game last night. Amazing comeback. Houston beat Duke.
So this is the thing. They had the game on. My daughter's going to Houston, so we're I guess leaning towards University of Houston. My wife is a bigger fan than
you're about to be a Cougar, man. That's it.
That's right, Cougar, whatever.
Yeah, you got
yeah. But so it was at the reunion thing was wrapping up, but they were also doing another post party that I opted out of and she went to. But so they had a TV on in the venue, and there was about a minute and a half left. And I think it's when Houston got the technical foul on them when they were slapped the ball out of the guy's hand when he was
it looked like the game was over, man.
I said, this freaking game is over. I left. And on the way home, if it wouldn't have been, it was raining a little bit. Otherwise, I was going to text my daughter and say, I don't know if you saw the game, but Houston lost. Yeah. Then about 10 minutes later, I get a text from my wife. She said, Houston won.
It was amazing.
Yeah, I watched the end of it again today.
It was amazing. It was amazing. So that's going on tomorrow. So go Cougs. Nothing against Florida, but hey, go Cougs. And then while we were doing this, right before we came on, the women's championship.
The women's, UConn, their coach has been there for 40 years.
Yeah, he's a jerk.
Is he?
He is he's very talented, and I've actually seen some of the stuff he's a great coach, obviously. He's a great coach. But he just recently came out, he's complaining about, compared to the men's tournament, compared to whatever, the women basically are getting the shaft. Like their experience, I think he says, sucks compares to the men's game. And it so annoys me because that's like somebody from the putt championship being ticked off that the PGA makes money. I'll put things into perspective. The team they won today, they beat the dog snot out of South Carolina. And I got nothing for or against South Carolina, but their coach.
Look, I just pulling against them because of their coach.
She's just, I cannot stand a bad winner. That annoys me to no end. We stopped for an early dinner after the photo shoot, so it was on there, and so I couldn't hear anything.
but you just get annoyed at her watching her facial expressions on the
Okay.
sidelines because you
And
know she's whining about something.
but just the comments before and after the game and during the game, just but look, here, I got news for you. She's not a walk in the park.
Oh
LSU's
no,
coach.
no.
She doesn't look like somebody I'd want to sit next to on a plane.
Dude, well, did you see the big thing this week? Some dude asked her after they lost, and I think the guy was an intern. If he wasn't an intern, he was just brand new.
Right.
And I asked, he said, so you've been to the Elite Eight twice in a row and lost. And she, if you didn't see it, she says, so that's terrible, huh? And I'm sure the dude was intimidated out of his mind and just said, uh-huh. And she goes up, how many Final Fours have you been to?
Yeah. She didn't say it quite like that. She did it more with there was a line where you thought, well, maybe she's not being a total jerk.
Yeah, she does the passive aggressive thing
Right,
fairly well.
but a lot of people read it as that. But on this thing about, so our, and congratulations, Coach Ariyama, I mean, the one. But Dawn Staley's the coach of South Carolina, and she
Yeah.
complains about a lot of stuff. I don't put things in perspective though. South Carolina won last year, right? They won NCAA championship. So you got to figure, whoo, man, that's a money making operation, right? That's dude. They lost $5 million.
Oh wow, the girls basketball team.
Yes. So the NCAA Division I women's basketball champion lost. That program.
Yeah,
lost.
the only college sport that makes money is football.
Well, I think basketball too.
Basketball, I guess, depends where. Houston probably does.
And the
LSU,
tournament,
no.
Yeah. No, they probably don't. But the tournament and everything, and so look,
but they did say that the Final Four was down like 10 million viewers.
Was it? Okay.
This year over last year.
I gotta see that because Duke is normally a pretty big draw, man. I mean, that's now there weren't any California teams in there, so whatever. So that's
was UCLA yesterday or Friday.
Yeah, but it's the women's.
Yeah, no, that's what I'm talking about. The women's Final Four.
Oh no, I'm talking.
The men's. I'm talking
about the men. Yeah, the women. Yeah, no, men's basketball. I think men's basketball does make money. Not in like. I don't think Nichols does. Gonna put it that way. I don't think the Nichols basketball team.
If it's LSU just hadn't had a good men's basketball team in a long time.
Right. But that's how the world works, y'all. Stuff that makes money gets attention. They get nice stuff. If it doesn't make money, you're basically mad at people for not paying for your hobby or your.
Right. Well, I always say, look at the percentage. How much of the gross revenue is invested in what you're talking about from this versus how much of the gross revenue is invested from the men's? And I would be willing to bet it's probably a larger percentage of that is invested in putting on the women's event.
So while we're talking men and women thing, and now we're deep enough into the podcast, if it's just the hardcore that are still hanging with us, whenever anything in Congress happens where there's any kind of quote unquote bipartisan, that means it's going to be the worst crap ever.
Or nothing.
So Anna, whatever the insane, she's a Republican Congresswoman, Anna Paula Luna, whatever, I forget her exact name, and this other woman, one's a Democrat, one's a Republican, whatever, and they're pushing. That's why the House of Representatives basically shut down last week. They did nothing because they got stuck on this argument, and they're trying to pass that new moms, congresswomen that are new moms, can vote from home. Right now.
Meaning,
yeah, if you got a baby. If you're a congresswoman with the baby, yeah, you can just stay home and do your votes from home. Now, the woman who argued most for this made a point to have her baby with her everywhere. On the floor of the House, on TV, nonstop, using the baby like a prop. I'm sorry, you're awful, woman, because the deal is Congress people that have babies, there is free daycare. There is... You know when the votes are, right? So, and the other thing too is once you pass that, if they pass that, dude, that's just a slippery slope. Then it's going to be so-and-so had their hip replaced. Oh.
Right. Or, hey, this man's wife had a baby.
Yes.
Yeah. Well, 3 months of day of child or whatever maternity leave is not enough. We need a year.
And it's one of those things. Then you can't do the job because you can, right? You can, like if you know, if you have to stay home, you have to stay home. You miss votes. People miss votes they miss
Right.
votes for anything. Okay. So it's not like, it's not like your vote is, and if it's an important vote, then you got to, what are the odds that those are the days? You know when the votes are coming,
Yeah.
right? They also pay these people about, I don't know, $175,000, $180,000 a
Yeah.
year.
Yeah. Here's how many of them don't have nannies?
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And you know what? You kind of knew what the job was when you applied for it. But
Yeah.
that's the thing, man. It's we didn't even go too far into all the Doge stuff this week, but the stuff still
Well, if you
still
want to bring your kid to work with you, your name got to be Elon.
Man, look. Well, he's about to take a step back. He's about to
Is he? They're saying Trump wants him to go longer because it was supposed to be for 130 days.
yeah, I got a feeling he's probably done. I mean, he's going to be around, but yeah, we'll see. Oh, so I want to tell you this. It's funny. My mom tells me last week, sometime during the week, she was listening to the podcast, and she says, I almost called you. I didn't want to bother you, but I almost called you to say, I hope they don't let you and Juan teach Bible class." I'm like, why, Mom? I think we were pretty close. I think we were, those of you that missed it, we just gave our take on the prodigal son.
Right.
And and I don't know, I was in church this morning, and today was, let he who was without sin cast the first stone.
That's right. Tell your mom to keep it quiet.
My mom probably could get away with telling us to shut up. But yeah, no, I mean, that was a good story. I mean, that one always followed. You couldn't do that today though, because that was back when people actually had shame, and you tell a group of people, hey, any of y'all without sin? Today, half of them would think they were without sin. Half, watch me chunk this
Yeah, you'd
rock.
be getting rocked or stoned.
Mm-hmm.
So we go to, it's like once a month. It's just a little couples. I guess it's a Bible study. We call it small groups at my church, and it's just like potluck dinner and stuff. And the last time there were a lot of new people there, and this one woman who, I don't know, she's kind of annoying me. I don't know her. First time I met her.
Just one woman annoying you? That's
no,
one person?
this one particular one.
Okay.
But she was talking about this and that. Oh, and I learned this on this podcast and that on this podcast. And I whispered to my wife. I said, she ain't listening to Dave and Juan. But then there's this other lady who's talking about, I don't know, she's randomly talking about that her neighbor is a little out there, like, literally out there. And they've had to call the cops on him and stuff. He's out there shooting stuff. He's, yelling at him over the fence for different things. She was African American, and he's being very, racial slurs and everything at her. And the same woman says, well, have you invited him to church? And then it's all with, now you have something to pray for, blah, 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 blah. So, and again, I'm sitting, I say, many people got a different attitude than me.
You invited him to church.
So after the thing, I ran up to that woman. I said, don't be inviting that dude to church.
Yeah. If somebody's calling you.
Yeah. Feel free to pray for him if you want to pray for him, but take it from somebody who's seen things in the world. Don't be going knocking on that dude's door and inviting him to church. You want to tie a note to a rock and throw it over the fence?
You ain't warming his heart, darling.
Right. So that's my Bible lesson for this week.
That's right. And my Bible lesson is, just don't throw no rocks. Whether you sinned or not, don't throw any rocks.
Yeah.
Just
might hit somebody.
So, okay, but by time to close out here, I jotted something down. It was something, and I saw it in more than one place, and it was sort of like one of these stats that shows you. We started off talking about tariffs and the economy and everything, and about how they're trying to get us scared about the stock market and all this other stuff. But our country's become like a dumbbell in more ways than one, right? You've got extreme wealth, or people that are wealthy, and people that are not in debt, and in the middle is getting skinnier and skinnier, like the in between. But it showed, the stat was in the summer of 2024, right? So not quite a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
There were more Americans take European vacations than at any time in history. There are also more Americans visiting a food bank than any time in history. Right? So it's just something to dwell on. That'll show you what's going on, right? In this country. So, and the other thing too is with the stock market, that's a stat that I saw. 10% of the people in this country, 10%, the upper 10% own 88% of the stock market.
Oh yeah. And well, you remember when they were talking about, during Trump's first term, when they were touting the stock market, the other side was saying, "Oh well, that's a rich man's thing. That's
exactly.
that's not a middle class benefit."
88% of the stock market is owned by only 10%. 40% own the other 12%, and 50% of the country is in debt. Okay, so guess what? Nobody cares. Like Gen Z, millennials and Gen Z, dude, they don't care. Stock market's for what? I can't afford to buy a starter house. You think I'm worried that Boomer lost some money in the stock market? I mean, it's an interesting time, man. But we shall see. When I'm elected, Juan, we're going to get all this stuff. And also, that last thing here before you get on time to get on out of here, just down the road from me in Katy. I live in Sugar Land, Texas, and Katy is a suburb of Houston. And there's this concerts coming someplace in Katy, and I was thinking, man, Warrant, Lita Ford,
wow,
and Firehouse.
Oh man,
yeah. Here's the deal.
One hit each.
Shy of Lita Ford. And I bet you, I'll even throw Lita Ford in there. If any of these people or people in these bands were behind me in Walmart today, would not have known. Would not.
I don't know that I recognize Lita Ford.
Well, she's an attractive lady, but she.
But I mean, also, if any of those people who appear on stage besides Lita Ford were in those bands 40 years ago,
the lead singer of Warrant's dead. That guy's been dead for a while, man. So I don't know who's the lead singer of Warrant now. Maybe they do like Journey. They just bring out a young dude.
Yeah, bring out a young guy. It's, my daughter went to this country festival or rock the country thing yesterday, and Kid Rock headlined, preceded by a Donald Trump video on the big screen. But Leonard Skinner played. I mean, how long has Leonard Skinner been on a farewell tour?
Oh, I don't even think they call it farewell. I mean, their farewell tour ended in a plane crash. That was the end of. But they've been around. I think they still got the younger brother that sings, right? The Van Zandt.
One of the Van Zandts. But no, they've been supposedly on the last tour forever.
I with all due respect to all the musicians out there, as long as you still got the same lead singer, man, that's all anybody. You can.
Oh yeah, well with Van Zandt, he sounds just like the brother,
dude. Frankie Valli, believe it or not, Frankie Valli, who's I think 117, is still touring. Now, he looks animatronic at this point. I mean, he's a step ahead of where Biden was on the way out, but it's nobody cares about the Four Tops. It's still Frankie Valli.
I talked to somebody, God, we're going way off. I talked to somebody last night who's they were leaving from Vegas today, so she going to a conference there, and we're just talking about last time they were there. They saw Wayne Newton at the Pink Flamingo, whatever, in Vegas. I said, Jesus Christ, is he still alive?
Yeah. And
she said he basically sits there, tells some stories, and then lip syncs the song.
Hey, bring the money in. Bring the money in. Hey, Al. We're running a little low. We got not a little low, little long. Hit the button. Get on out of here. See if any of that stuff stuck to the magic tape in the sky. We hope it did. Y'all, if you want to find us, if you want to reach us, Dave and Juan at protonmail.com.
And right here.
Here. Wherever you're at. Whatever you're doing, do it again. We will be there every week. Not a hint, suggestion, or subtle implication, y'all.
No, man. It's a freaking mandate.
We give you a freaking mandate every week to go out there and live your best life, y'all. Take your shots. Some are going to hit. Some aren't going to hit. You might be having a day. Man. You on top, you may feel like UH with about 1:11 left and you're down 6-7 points, and all those Duke Font Chalks are all high-fiving and they're all there. Hey, hang in there. You never know. You never know. And by the way, that was a bad call at the end on Cooper Flag, and Houston got to hit 2 free throws to go ahead at the end of the game. That was probably a bad call, but Houston, hey, we'll take it. But anyway, so yeah.
But you digress.
I digress. Why not? We're an hour plus into this. We're digressing. So, yeah, live your best life, y'all. We are going to as well. I'm going to be in Louisiana for the week, so I'm sure I'll have stories to share next time. And Juan,
probably blisters to show.
Juan will be able to, follow up and let us know if his daughter got to kill the person she's supposed to kill. Or Juan will get us all caught up on the murder game that they're playing at the private school. Senior assassin, you got it. But we'll find out about it then. Until then, everybody have a fantastic one. Love you, bro.
Back at you, man. So yeah, the Friday night at the reunion when I was in the bar. Well, first of all, yeah, they had like a little party room or whatever off to the side, and restaurant lounge place, nice place. So, I'm sitting near there, and then some other guy comes out and he says, "Oh, are you a spouse?" Yeah. And he says, "I'm a boyfriend." And he introduces himself to me. And I wanted to say, dude, if I wanted to talk to people I didn't know, I'd be in that room. But I let that go. So I'm sitting, and I sat there for 3 hours.
Oh, it's funny.
And the bartender, young girl, who's working right in the front of me. She's obviously a skilled bartender, and yeah, I'm watching her here and there, and I'll ask her questions and stuff. But a couple of times she said, "Yeah, it's so weird. I've never had anybody just stare at me while I watch me make drinks." And I kind of chuckle. And the second or third time she said it, I said, "You may not be able to see it, but on the other side of this little basket, I got my phone, and I'm watching the basketball game." I don't know if I made her feel stupid, but it's like,
all right, you're not as much of a perv. You're not as much of a perv as I thought.
Yeah,
I like that first guy. I like the first guy though. You say, "Bro, what part of the vibe I'm giving off looks welcoming?"
Yeah, I'm sitting on the end of the bar to lessen the odds by 50% of anybody sitting on the side of me.
You look like you needed a friend.
It's over. Go home.